Suzanne Somers initially rose to the status of a household name via her role in the hit sitcom Three's Company. That beloved sitcom would stay on the air for 8 seasons from 1977 to 84. However, only the first 5 of those seasons would end up featuring Suzanne. Many people still wonder why Suzanne Somers ended up leaving the show after only 5 seasons. Also, people are curious about what the TV actress ended up doing afterwards. If you're one of the many people who would like to know how Suzanne Somers' career ended, you're in luck. Today, Facts First will uncover what happened to her after Three's Company. Suzanne Somers was born in 1946. Although she would end up becoming popular by her husband's last name, she was born Suzanne Marie Mahoney. Unlike many other Hollywood stars, Somers was not born into a family with a background in the entertainment industry. Her mother worked in the medical field as a secretary, and her father was a laborer with an affinity for gardening. Her father may have been a hard worker, but he wasn't the most affable man to be around. According to Somers, he was a heavy drinker and would often tease her relentlessly and call her names as she was growing up. However, this teasing only made the young woman that much more adamant that she would eventually take the world by storm. She graduated high school and then attended college. She would go on to marry her first husband, Bruce Somers, in 1965. Although the marriage only lasted 3 years, she would keep his last name. After the marriage dissolved, she decided to take her career in entertainment a little more seriously. She would end up becoming a prize model on the game show Anniversary Game. Over time, she would develop a fairly close relationship with the host of that show, Alan Hamel. The two would eventually marry in 1977, the same year Three's Company premiered. He played an incredibly large role in her life and career. He's often blamed for catalyzing the events that made Suzanne leave the show after its 5th season. Somers used her success as a prize model to get increasingly better roles in film and TV. She wasn't afraid to use her good looks and charisma to get both the attention of producers and the audience. She was often seen as a femme fatale, appearing in many TV shows and films that capitalized on this image. Around the same time, she also slowly began pursuing a career as an author, having written a book of poetry that achieved minor success. Some of her notable early roles in film include parts in American Graffiti and Magnum Force. On TV, she could be seen doing bit parts on shows such as One Day at a Time, The $6 Million Man, and The Rockford Files. Although her parts were often fairly small, they made a big impression on the audience. She received steady work throughout the early 70s. But her breakthrough role wouldn't come until the premiere of Three's Company in 1977. On that show, Somers portrayed Chrissy Snow. The producers had already gone through 2 separate candidates that they didn't feel were quite right, but their luck changed when they caught Somers promoting her book of poetry on The Tonight Show. Immediately they had a feeling this was the woman who was meant to play Chrissy, and they were right on the money. Three's Company was the story of 3 single co-ed roommates. These roommates were Jack Tripper, Janet Wood, and Chrissy Snow. Jack was played by John Ritter, and Janet Wood was played by Joyce DeWitt. Their landlords were initially played by Norman Fell and Helen Roper, but the two would end up leaving the show in 1979. After they left, famous comedian and character actor Don Knotts was brought on to take their place. This lineup went on to be the most iconic lineup of the show's long and successful run. The show was a success almost immediately, and Chrissy Snow was arguably the biggest reason. Audiences cheered every time Somers came onto the screen. Her role became so popular that Somers eventually began to question if she was being paid as much as she was worth. John Ritter was making more than Somers per episode, and the actress began to understandably have some issues with this. Many assume that Somers' husband, Alan Hamel, convinced her to take some course of action to remedy this discrepancy in pay. After the show's 4th season, Somers made some demands regarding her earnings that the producers weren't exactly comfortable with. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, hit the like button to show your support, and be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button to stay updated on our latest content. Suzanne Somers had a reason to be upset about making less money per episode than John Ritter. She was arguably the main drawing point of the show, and not being properly compensated for it. It's not surprising then the actress ended up asking the show's producer for an increase in pay. While many would assume this wouldn't be too big of a deal given how Somers was contributing to the show, the amount of pay increase she asked for was arguably a little excessive. At the time, she was only making $30,000 per episode. However, her demand to the producers was to be paid $150,000. She also asked to be given 10% ownership of the show's rights. The producers balked at her request. Instead, they reduced her role down to only 60 seconds per episode throughout the show's 5th season, before eventually firing her and writing her character out. The void she left would end up being filled by a few different characters, but none of them could capture the magic Somers brought to the table. Once Somers was gone, it was only a matter of time before the show fell apart. However, Somers had a bright future ahead of her. The episode caused a rift between Somers and her co-stars, including John Ritter. She didn't end up talking to the actor again for 2 decades, making up with him shortly before his untimely death in 2003. However, Somers' burning of these bridges would not go on to have many detrimental effects on her promising career. The actress's status as a sex symbol was solidified when she took the opportunity to pose nude in Playboy. She appeared once in 1980 and once again in 1984. To the world over, Suzanne Somers was a star, with or without Three's Company. Her biggest post-Three's Company career revelation came during her tenure as a spokeswoman for the popular piece of exercise equipment known as the Thigh Master. Not only did the campaign further her appeal as a sex symbol, it also proved influential on her overall career moving forward. With this campaign, Somers began to see the potential of being a health and fitness advocate. Her good looks weren't just something to be admired, and she could put them to use by showing others how to live healthy and active lifestyles. This played a huge part in Somers' career moving forward into the next century. Before becoming better known as an advocate for fitness and healthy living than as an entertainer, Somers did continue her acting career in TV and film throughout the late 80s and 90s. In 1987, she appeared in the show She's the Sheriff. In that show, she was the titular star. After that, she was featured in a recurring role on the series Step by Step in the 90s. She also co-hosted the show Candid Camera in the late 90s. Any way you look at it, Suzanne was never hurting for success or commercial appeal. In the 2000s, her star remained fairly consistent. In 2005, she performed in a one-woman show on Broadway. It was titled The Blonde and the Thunderbird, named after her iconic role in the film American Graffiti. This show allowed Somers to renew her personal relationship with her fan base, and she capitalized on that success soon after with the publication of her book, Ageless. In her written works, Somers began making a new name for herself as an advocate for exercise and healthy living. She shared her lifestyle and diet with other people, and soon Somers was known more for her lifestyle advocacy than her acting. She followed up Ageless with numerous other works, most of which would be centered around her lifestyle and diet. Somers didn't end her career as an entertainer just because she had become a famous author. She continued to take a prominent role in entertainment. She hosted her own online talk show titled Breaking Through. This experience led her to take the lead in a televised talk show on the Lifetime network titled The Suzanne Show. More recently, she put her good looks and fitness to the test on the reality competition show Dancing with the Stars. Although she only finished the competition in 9th place, she'll always be first place to her immense and growing fan base. Suzanne Somers has certainly had an incredible career before and after her breakout success on Three's Company. Few other entertainers, male or female, have been able to retain such a prominent spot in the public eye. And she's been able to keep a positive and solid reputation over all these years, with very little tabloid drama to speak of. All things considered, any entertainer would be lucky to have a career as successful and consistent as hers. Comment down below to share your favorite moment from her incredible career, or if you'd like to share your thoughts on her more recent health and lifestyle advocacy. And, as always, like this video to support us and subscribe to our channel for more. Hit the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.